All right, you guys, this is going to be the quick and dirty moon episode. So let's talk about this full moon in Sagittarius that's all over the internet right now. It's a big moon. I'm not going to lie to you guys. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I don't really think that there's anything more than we have already been dealing with. There's definitely some aspects in this moon that we want to look at and pay attention to. I don't feel like, though, this moon is anything that is like necessarily like gonna blow us away compared to what we've already been doing. Yes, the full moon is in Sagittarius, it's at 25 degrees, and it does line up with the galactic center, so that's pretty fucking cool. So the galactic center is in the middle of the Milky Way. There's a ton of energy that's coming from that. So we are looking at, if you have positions specifically in your chart that are close to that 25 degrees Sagittarius, you could be pulling even more energy and helping to kind of awaken your consciousness. So that's absolutely awesome. I get like really kind of like worried when people put so much emphasis, and I feel like anytime there's a full moon and we're like around eclipse season, everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is like the moon of the year. And it's a powerful moon, but I feel like they're all really powerful in their own way. And so I always try to just kind of sit back and like feel the energy out. So sometimes that's why I'm not actually doing these ahead of time, because I'm really just trying to like feel the energy out and see. This is going to affect everybody in a very different way. With it being in Sagittarius, it's interesting to watch people's moods kind of shift. Sagittarius is an energy that is all about expansion, and expansion is great. But if you think about it, we're always looking for this constant balance with everything. There can be too much expansion. And so sometimes what I find with Sag energy is I love it. I feed off of that shit. But I also understand that with too much of that, it's hard for us to really like narrow in, right? Because we have all these ideas. Like I'm guilty of it myself. I've been like 2 days just like writing stuff down. So sometimes we'll get like tons and tons and tons of information when there's a lot of Sag energy. So we're feeling that quite potently right now, just because of the position where the moon is with that galactic center, and we've just got a lot of other things sort of playing out. So I want to mention some of the things that you want to look at with this moon. So we have Saturn and Neptune, which are sextile. And so Neptune is a planet that really rules like the third eye area. So it's all about tapping into that dreamlike state. So you have to be really careful when you're working with Neptune, because it can keep you in sort of like a delusional state. It's what opens us up. It's that higher consciousness, but it's also what kind of rules delusion. And so Saturn's really coming in and it's saying like, okay, hey, let's look at our dreams. Let's look at like these things that we've been kind of, these far-reaching goals, these downloads that we're getting, whatever you want to call them, and let's add a little bit of structure to that. So this is actually going to be really good for us, I think, especially since we have had for several days Jupiter squared Neptune. So Jupiter is that expansion, Neptune is that like dreamlike kind of airy state, gassy. It's awesome for some people, but it's hard to keep something kind of like root something concrete. It makes us a little bit delusional. So if you add that to expansion, there's a ton of stuff, and you can see it all over. I think social media right now, people are just like really out there with some of their ideas, and I'm like, that's awesome. But how do we like pull this in and ground this in reality? And that's where Saturn, I think, is really coming in and going, okay, yes, all these ideas are great. Yes, like let's open up, let's expand, let's evolve, but how can we do this and add some structure to that? So one of the things you really want to be careful about still with this Jupiter square Neptune is becoming just like overly optimistic. And not that we need to be like negative, but this energy is going to move. It's going to shift. And if you are like, this is it, this is what I'm supposed to do, I just know it, and it's like these grand ideas, and then we shift, and like another day or two, you may feel like crap. So just be careful with that. My advice for this moon is, we've been doing this work. This is not something that is new to us. We have been in this 5-month cycle from the eclipses. We are now finishing up this cycle, so there's like 2 weeks left And what we're really doing right now is we're honing in. This isn't something where we're probably going to get like brand new revelations. I think what we're going to be seeing with this moon, if you haven't already, is really just fine tuning what you already kind of knew, right? Because we've been pulling at these karmic layers for months. And with the position of Jupiter and Neptune right now, it's literally positioned in the area that covers our sacral chakra. So with Jupiter being a Sag and Neptune's in Pisces right now, the sacral chakra is ruling this area. So the sacral chakra is the chakra where we hold a lot of karma, that in our heart center. So with that, I think what we're really going to see is a little bit more of uncovering some of this karmic shit, which I think we're going to continue to see throughout the year. With this, center of this Sagittarius being in that galactic center, I think that concentration of energy is going to help pull more stuff out. I think we're going to start to feel just a little bit lighter with this moon after we get through everything, because we're just pulling stuff out. And I think what's good is we're pulling and we're kind of clearing all this shit out so that we can kind of fine tune like what is our goal. So that would be my like suggestion as you're thinking about setting these goals with this current, not this full moon, but the new moon that's coming up and the solar eclipse. And right now you're like, what do I release? Well, this is a time to release whatever's not serving you. So kind of take stock of what are those goals that you set at the beginning of the year with maybe that solar eclipse in January. And what have you been working towards? It's been a busy ass year, right? This is like our halfway point. We're really checking in and like, okay, where am I at? You're going to want to maybe be like, I want to run away and leave everything. I want to go, do whatever and set these huge goals, but that's not really where we want to be right now. We're really trying to take all this concentration of energy and like hone in, right? One of the other things that you just really want to look at is that Mercury conjunct Saturn. This kind of brings a little bit of negativity in with this moon. It can make you a little bit critical. And so what I find with this, and I mean, I'm guilty of it myself sometimes, is when there's an aspect like this, we start worrying about what everybody else is doing, right? And like, they shouldn't be doing that. They're not living their truth, or that's bad, or like whatever. And so this energy makes it really easy for us to get distracted by like what everybody else is doing. Especially if people are feeling an influx of energy, because it, depends on where your chart sits and how much you're going to feel this Sag energy. Like everybody's going to feel it, but some people may feel it a little bit more. And sometimes it makes people just a little bit annoying. I'm not even gonna lie to you. You're going to be like, okay, calm down. But it's everybody's feeling this energy a little bit differently. So when you have an aspect like this, you have to kind of just check yourself and be like, okay, like everybody's experiencing this a little bit different. I need to stay in my lane. Mercury square Neptune is going to help with this. It's another aspect we have going on. It's going to bring a little bit more harmony. It's going to help make us a little bit more compassionate and sensitive. So we have this aspect kind of helping to balance all of this out a little bit. But just know, like, this Mercury conjunct Saturn definitely just makes us a little bit like agitated. So it's really good. Once again, stay in your own lane. Concentrate on like what you're doing, right? Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Focus on your goals. Don't worry about if anybody else is doing it the right way. Don't worry about if anybody else is living up to their potential. Don't worry about if you think they're full of shit, like whatever. It doesn't matter. This time period is your gift from the universe to really hone in. Focus on what you're supposed to be doing. This is aligning us with what our purpose is. And all this is an opportunity for us to fine tune our goals. So don't get super stressed out. Sometimes I see some of this stuff and I'm like, holy shit, I'm overwhelmed. So I can only imagine if this is like new to you and you're like reading all this stuff and you're like, oh my gosh. And people are like, you're going to have these life-changing revelations and, nothing's going to be the same after this. And that's not always true for everybody. Sometimes the life-changing shifts aren't obvious to us. Sometimes it's just a simple change of perspective. Sometimes it's just that something comes up and we're like, oh, we just look at things a little differently. And we don't see those shifts till later on. I mean, sometimes they're massive, but sometimes they're not. I think it's different for everybody. So I just want to kind of put that out there because I think sometimes there's so much hype that it gets a little bit overwhelming. Like I myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, like they put a lot of pressure on some of this stuff. And the thing is whether you are working with this energy or not, it's working on you. So even if you're like, I don't even know what to do with all this energy, like, I don't even know what this means, it doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't fucking matter. Like, it's going to do what it's going to do. You're not going to miss your opportunity. You're not going to miss your purpose in life. Like, if you're supposed to do something, it's going to happen. If you want to tune into it, I would suggest, like I'm actually about to do, is just disconnect and see like how you feel. I always feel like with astrology stuff, the best thing to do is just feel into it. And that's a lot of times why I don't actually post anything until we're really close to it, because I'm really trying to feel it. Like, I don't want to just be in a book like going, okay, well, this is what the aspect should feel like. I want to feel it, and I want to be honest about how that feels. So feel into this energy, take some notes. This is a great time to write stuff down. This moon, like, write down, release the stuff that is not working for you right now. Like, just let that shit go. Don't stress about it. Whatever you're supposed to do, it's going to happen. Like, if you're fated to change your whole entire life, it's going to happen regardless of whether you set the intention or you're doing like whatever, somebody on Instagram says you need to be doing. So I would suggest, highly, highly, highly suggest disconnect, feel into this energy. And, we're really close to solstice. There's a lot of shifts happening. There's a lot of release still happening. So be gentle with yourself. You're going to feel really good right now, right? This is optimistic energy. So feel into that. Don't let social media bog you down. Don't let other people, what they're doing, bog you down. Just, let this be what it is for you, because you're the only person that has your astrological constitution. All right, you guys, go enjoy this amazing day.